Hello guys, and welcome back to a brand new Mcreator tutorial. Recently I've been working on a guidebook for my own mod using a library called Patchouli. And I want to just show you guys how you can also make your own guidebook by an Mcreator. Normally in Mcreator you would use blocks and like procedures and all of that, but for this we're gonna have to dive a little bit deeper into our build.gradle JSON files, and generally we're gonna have to use the file explorer a lot more often in this tutorial. If that's fine with you, then let's get started. So as you can see, I have a brand new Mcreator project. It's on 1.21.1. It's on the latest version of Mcreator as of now. And so first things first, you want to find this little arrow on the top left and you want to click it. This is going to be your best friend in this tutorial. So let's just cover what we're gonna be doing in this tutorial. The first part will be me teaching you how to add Patchouli as a dependency to your mod, which means when someone tries to install your mod, they would also need to install Patchouli for the guidebook to properly work. This is what your file browser will look like. The source file is all of the Java code that is not to be really touched. And then there's the resources file, which we are going to be using for defining stuff in the guidebook. So first of all, I want you to open up this build.gradle file over here. Just double click it and immediately you're flashbanged with white. Let me just quickly change that. There we go. I just changed the theme and it's a lot better on my eyes now. So this file essentially acts as a way to compile your code. It just tells it allows you to do a lot more complicated things. Just generally, you don't want to touch this too much if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm just going to be copying over some code. If you want to, I'm going to leave all the code I've copied over in the description if you do want to just follow along. If not, just type it out. So the first thing we're going to want to put in our build.json is around line 9, you want to press escape, and below Java toolchain, whatever it says here, you want to just paste in this repositories. This is just basically telling Mcreator where to find the Patchouli download. I just zoomed in so that you guys can see it a little better. So this is the first part that you need to add to your build.gradle. And then there's the second part, which you want to go to this Neoforge block. And then at the very end of these brackets, you want to just around line 49, you want to paste in this block. It basically tells the game that you want to use Patchouli, not only just to install it, as well to read the resources file. So this should be everything you need to modify in your build.gradle. So that's it. That's all the Gradle stuff you need to touch. I know it's very icky, I know, but that's it. It's that easy. You just press Ctrl S. This thing should turn orange and you can close it. Now you want to go into the resources file, meta.inf, and the neoforge.mods.toml, and now here you will be greeted with this file. This file basically tells the game what stuff about your mod, right? Like what are the credits, authors and all. You can edit all this in your workspace settings, but the important part is this block right here. If we just copy this block right here and then we paste it below, and then we change the mod ID to Patchouli. Again, when you're typing in all of this, make sure there's no typos, make sure it's spelled exactly. And the version range should be, I just checked the CurseForge page, it should be this version right here. And then you can just do a comma. So basically what this says is you want this version and then any version above that. If Patchouli ever gets updated, it makes sure that you have any version above this version. Then ordering should be none because we don't really care when Patchouli gets loaded. These two are just like core dependencies, so that's why the mod will load after these dependencies. But here we're just doing none so that it has more flexibility. And then the side is both. I believe. I'm not sure about this, but just put it for both. Just for the sake, so make sure that you have this mod installed on the server and the client. And that's pretty much it for this file. You can press Ctrl S and save that. And just for good measure, why don't we just launch the game and see what happens? I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Let's just hope it launches. You can see it launched in our build.gradle because we added the dependencies, and this makes it so the mod gets installed when you run the game automatically. Now I'm not sure if it will get installed when the mod is compiled. I don't think it will, just double check it. But we can just check if the mod is installed, and there we go, Patchouli is installed, the correct version is also installed. And we have our tutorial mod over here, which is pretty good. So that's the first part of the tutorial done and dusted. So we can just save everything, and we're done with all the complicated files. I'm just joking, you still have to work with JSON. For the second part of the tutorial, I did make a creative tab and an example item so that I could put that into the tab. This will be useful when we want to add our custom guidebook to a creative tab. But first, let's get started actually making the guidebook. Now, the way Patchouli does guidebooks, you don't actually need to make a guidebook item in the Mcreator sort of workspace thingy. Instead, we will be registering the book in the data folder. So I want you to expand this resources folder over here and then create a new folder called data. Now for me, I do have a bug where I can't really make a new folder in the resources. So I'm just going to quickly do that in the file explorer. So you can see in the explorer, I can just do new folder and then data, and that should load up. Now before we make another folder in the data, I want you to go into your workspace and then workspace settings. And then I want you to find this field called mod ID / namespace, and then I want you to copy whatever's in there. Your mod ID acts as a way for JSON to sort of know what mod it's talking about. And two mods can have the same ID while loaded, so it's useful to differentiate different mods. So we can copy that, save changes. So now in data, we can make a new folder, and then we can call that our mod ID. And then we can make a new folder called Patchouli_books. And then we can make another folder inside Patchouli books, and we can call it whatever we want to call our guide. For me, I'm just going to call it tutorial guide. So this is tutorial guide with no spaces. Of course, you can call your guidebook whatever you want to. Then inside that, we're going to make a JSON file, and then we're going to call that book, and make sure everything is spelled exactly as I am typing it out. Just make sure everything is the same and there are no unexpected errors. Then we can open up the book.json, and we're ready to start writing some JSON code. So first of all, you want to do a curly bracket and then another curly bracket, and go inside that and click space. I'm just going to do that again and then delete, and it should look like this. You can press tab as well. So now in this file, you can do a quote, and then you can type in name, then do a colon, and then another pair of quotes, and we can call this whatever we defined our name. In this case, it is tutorial guide, but we can capitalize this name because it is meant to be displayed as the guidebook's name. A useful thing Mcreator also does is it shows the JSON objects in real time. Then we can put our colon, don't forget the colons. I do forget this sometimes, so make sure it's always there. Then we want to do another pair of quotes, and we want to type in landing_text. Do a colon, and then we want to type in whatever the subtitle will be. Basically, it's on the first page, and whatever's displayed will be displayed in there. Whatever's typed here will also be displayed underneath the title. So for me, I'm just gonna do this is a tutorial guide. Then again, don't forget your colon. Then we're gonna do version. Then in version, we're gonna type in 1. This is just the version of the guidebook. It doesn't really matter, but don't forget to put this in there. Again, don't forget your colon. Then you want to type in creative tab. Now what you put in here depends on what creative tab you want. Now I would recommend checking out the docs if you don't understand anything or you want to customize your book further. But in the docs, they do have some template creative tabs listed out if you do want to use these in your mod. Below this, it does say for modders, put the full namespace ID of the tab you use when registering this. Basically, I'm just going to show you how you can add your own custom tab. If you don't want to add your custom tab, for example, you just wanted ingredients, you can just type ingredients and this should work. But for us, we are going to paste in our mod ID, which we copied earlier, and then colon, and then we're going to do the name of our creative tab in lowercase. So if we go into workspace and we click on our creative tab, you can see our name is IDK. Now obviously yours will be different, so don't forget to put that in. So guidebook tutorial colon and then IDK. This is your namespace and then this is your creative tab ID. Then we're gonna do a comma, don't forget your commas, and then we're gonna do use resource pack and we're gonna set it to true. And actually we don't need the quotes here because this is a boolean and not a string. Then we're gonna have to define a model for our book to use. Generally it's better to make your own model using JSON so that other mods don't have the same guidebook as you, but if you're just wanting to play your mod alone, then it's completely fine to use the default models. So we're gonna type in model, not models, just model, and then colon, and then here we're gonna have to reference the docs again. So here you can see there are some template models over here. So here you can see in the docs there are some template models over here, and again it does say do not use any of the above models just so that the books are distinguishable. So for this tutorial, and since I really like cyan, I'm going to be using the cyan book color as well as the model. So let's just copy that and we're gonna paste that in there. Then we're gonna do book underscore texture, and again we can reference the docs for the texture, which in this case is going to be number 3 book underscore cyan. Again, you can just copy it and make any modifications if you want, and it should look like this to you as well. If it doesn't, you can reference the GitHub link that I put in the description, and you can just copy the book.json and modify it to your liking. Then this is just a personal preference, but I like to do show underscore progress and turn it false as I don't really like the progress bar. Of course you can leave this on, you don't have to do it, it's just my personal preference. And after typing show progress is equals to false, that should be everything for the guidebook. Again, you can go check out the docs, it's the book.json format page, and you can just look here if you want to add any more properties. But with that, we can save our book, and then we can close our data folder. Then we can expand our assets folder, and where it says guidebook tutorial, we can make a new folder, and this folder will be called Patchouli underscore books. And then inside of that folder, we can make a new folder, and this will be the name of our guide, which is, for me, tutorial guide. In our tutorial guide, we'll make a new folder called en underscore us. This is basically allowing you to have different guidebooks for different languages. So if you want German, you can do d underscore de, and you can define different text for each language. Then in our en underscore us, we can make a new folder, and we are going to call this folder entries. And then again in en underscore us, we're going to make another folder, and this we're going to call categories. So first of all, we're going to start in our categories folder, and we're going to call this whatever we want our category. For me, I'm just going to call it test. Now in this folder, we can do the same curly bracket, and then we can type in name. Now this name will be test, as this is the name of the category, comma, and then we're going to type in description. This is going to be our description for the category, so we're just going to call it this is a test description. And then finally we can specify an icon. This icon has to be an item stack, and we can do literally any item. So for example, we can do Minecraft colon, so the icon will be a dirt block. If you want it to be your mod, if you want the icon to be something from your mod, you replace Minecraft with your mod ID, which is the one we copied earlier in the tutorial, and then you put the name of your item in lowercase. But for me, I'm just gonna use a Minecraft item just to make it simpler, and that should be it for a category. We can save this. You know it's saved when the bar is orange. Then in our entries, we can make a new folder, and we can call this whatever we called our category. Mine is test, so I'm gonna call it that. Now you can have multiple categories, and then you just make a new folder and add new entries. So in this test folder, I'm gonna make a new entry with a JSON file, and it's gonna be test
underscore entry, test underscore entry. We're gonna open this up, and first things first, we're gonna do the same curly brackets, and we're gonna do name. This is the readable name for your entry. This is gonna be test entry. Then do your comma. Then you want to define the icon of your entry. Again, this is an item stack, and we're gonna do Minecraft :diamond. Again, you can do your mod's item by replacing Minecraft with your mod's mod ID. Then we're gonna specify the category this entry is located in, and our category is going to be our mod ID : and then we're gonna put in test, as that is the category.json we made earlier. And then we're also gonna do a sort num. This allows you to specify where the entry is located within the category. For my first entry, I always like to start with an index of 0, as that's how usually it's done in programming. And actually, you don't need to have it a string. I always make the mistake of having it a string. It actually needs to be an integer. Again, don't forget your commas. And then we're gonna have a pages array. Again, it's pages. And then, so an array is going to be a square bracket, and then another square bracket, and then inside the array we're gonna have curly brackets, and then in the in the quotation marks we're gonna have a type. This specifies the page type. There are multiple page types, and you can look at the page types by going to the default page types page in the docs. So you can see all the different page types. There's text pages, there's image pages, there's crafting pages, there's smelting, there's a bunch of different page types. And then we can type Patchouli :text. So this is a text page. Then we can do another set of quotation marks and type in text, and we can do literally whatever text we want. Now, since this is the first page in an entry, we don't need to specify a title, as it will use it'll use the name of the entry as the title. But if you want to make another page, feel free to enter in the title of the page. But that should be it. This is an example entry that should hopefully work. We can go ahead and save it. And once that's done, hopefully everything should be done. Now, I probably messed something up, but let's try and launch the game and see what happens. Let's load up a single player world. And if we go into our creative tab, we can see there is no texture. We can fix that by checking it later. It seems the model isn't defined correctly. But if we open the book, but there we go, we have the test category, and we have the test entry, which is working. So as you can see, we didn't have to define a title, as we used the entry as a title. But this page, if you wanted to write something, if you didn't specify a title, it would start up here. So you can just specify a title. But as you can see, everything works. And let's go and change a couple of things in the code so that it hopefully works this time. Now, a great thing to do is look at the error code. For example, look at the warn. So here it is also saying unable to load the model book, and it is saying there's no files found. And it's saying there's no file found. So this just means we forgot to type it right. So if we open our data folder, mod ID, Patchouli books, guidebook name, and then our book.json, we can see that in our model, we actually typed in a.png, and we are using a texture, which I did copy something over, which kind of messed it up, but for you, it should work. Again, we can go back into the docs and just copy it from there. So the model, we can just copy the book_cyan, and we can just replace that. So this was just my user error, but that's completely fine. We all make errors sometimes. Now, since the model wasn't working, that's also the reason why the texture didn't show up. But we can save this and everything should be fine. Another thing I also realized is in our category, we forgot to specify a sort number. So we can just add a colon and type in sort num. And again, since this is the first category, we can start with an index of 0. If we want to add a new category, we can duplicate the test.json, and then we can duplicate the test.json we can duplicate the test file as well, and then add more entries if we want. We can save this and we can load up the game again. And once we're loaded, we can see the book texture. It's amazing, isn't it? And opening it, we immediately get an error. Again, this was my error. I put in a number in a string. I do make these mistakes quite a lot. So this should be quite easy to fix. We can go into our category and we can just remove the double quotes and save it. And everything should be working. Loading into the code, we can see the book is loaded properly. There should be no more errors. You can see the test category and you can see the test entry and everything works out. And that is how you make a Patchouli guidebook in Mcreator. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. This is one of my first videos and I want to just provide some knowledge into the internet. If you did like it, don't forget to subscribe. And this is the second channel upload, so don't forget to subscribe to my main channel. And if you're facing any errors, check out the GitHub and just leave a comment. But with all that out of the way, I wish you a wonderful modding time and goodbye.